Chapter 3700. Lu Ming seemed to have shuttled through the endless void. Not long after, he appeared in a starry sky. "I'm out." Lu Ming looked around. What entered his eyes was a vast and boundless starry sky. Stars dotted the dark starry sky. "Where am I?" Lu Ming pondered for a while, and then took out a star map. This kind of star map was obtained from Lu Ming after he killed the geniuses of various clans. It was very convenient to use. He injected his divine power into the star map. Suddenly, a vast star map appeared. There were pieces of bright starlight on it. Each starlight represented a starfield. Endless starfields dotted it. This star map was quite vast. It included an unknown number of starfields. On it there was a red dot. This red dot represented the area where Lu Ming was. "Expand." Lu Ming stared at the red dot. Immediately, the area around the red dot expanded rapidly. The starfields also became clear. The surrounding starfields also became blurry. Soon, Lu Ming figured out the area he was in. The Dragon Clan's mother planet is over there. It's only one starfield away from where I am now. It's not too far away. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He wanted to return to the periphery of the Dragon Clan's mother planet and see what the situation was like. Moreover, he also wanted to test if others could recognize him. Although Ao Qian and Fei Huang said that even the Lord of Heaven could not recognize him, he was still a little uncertain without trying it himself. Swoosh! Lu Ming's heart stirred. Every cell in his body trembled slightly. A surge of energy burst out from every cell. Swoosh! Lu Ming broke through the void and flew toward the Dragon Clan's mother planet at an astonishing speed. This speed was far above the speed of light. It even surpassed the speed of a divine lord using a teleportation array. Lu Ming broke through the void and moved forward quickly. Not long after, he crossed a starfield and arrived near the Dragon Clan's mother planet. There are still many experts. As soon as Lu Ming arrived near the Dragon Clan's mother planet, he felt many powerful auras in the surrounding starry sky. These auras were very restrained and hidden. However, Lu Ming still caught them. At the same time, several powerful auras swept toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming maintained his composure and did not say anything. Those auras swept past Lu Ming. They did not find anything strange and then disappeared. They did not find anything. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Compared to before, Yang Qi was like a completely different person. His life force essence had changed, so naturally, his enemies wouldn't be able to detect it. Lu Ming approached the Dragon Clan's mother planet. In the distance, a huge planet was floating in the air. The entire planet was shrouded in a layer of fog, making it impossible to see what was happening inside. There were still quite a few figures lingering on the meteorites in the surrounding area. They were all geniuses from different clans. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes moved. He found that some young winged men had gathered on a nearby meteorite. These young winged men seemed to be discussing something. Heavenly hearing. Lu Ming's heart stirred, and he activated a secret skill. Heavenly hearing was one of the more than 100 secret techniques that Lu Ming had cultivated. After successfully cultivating it, his hearing would be greatly improved. Lu Ming cultivated it into a secret technique rune and integrated it into his ears. His ears trembled slightly, and then he heard voices. That Lu Ming is too hateful. He deserves to die. That's right. It's the same for the remaining members of the Dragon Clan. Lu Ming is colluding with the Dragon Clan. It's really hateful. So many of our winged men's prodigies died there. Are we not going to take revenge? But Lu Ming and the remaining members of the Dragon Clan are hiding in the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Not only is there a terrifying array like the 10,000 dragon seals on the Dragon Clan's mother planet, but there are also terrifying experts left behind. We can't enter at all, let alone take revenge. The winged men gritted their teeth as they discussed. They couldn't wait to tear Lu Ming into pieces. Hee, if you want revenge, you don't have to enter the Dragon Clan's mother planet. At this time, a winged man youth sneered. You have a way. The other winged men looked at him. There are many other divine dragons in the universe. We just have to find them, kill them, and send them to the illusory heavenly jade. When Lu Ming and the remaining members of the Dragon Clan see it, won't they vomit blood? the winged men youth said. The other winged men youth's eyes lit up. Their winged men's almighty had done this before. By doing this, not only would they be able to anger Lu Ming and the remaining members of the dragon clan, but they would also be able to please the winged men's almighty. It was killing two birds with one stone. It's a pity that the old ancestor has already killed a batch of them. It will be difficult to find more divine dragons now. A winged men youth sighed. Don't worry. I happen to have clues about divine dragons, and there are many of them. The young man from the winged men clan laughed arrogantly. What clues? The others quickly asked. I know of a medium-sized world where many divine dragons live. However, that medium-sized world is too weak. It can only accommodate quasi-emperors at most. If a divine emperor enters, that world will be destroyed. That medium-sized world is like a miniature divine dragon world. If we go in and capture a large number of divine dragons, won't Lu Ming and the remaining members of the dragon clan rush out and fight us to the death? Aha. The youth laughed loudly. There's actually such a world? Good. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go now. The other winged men all said. There's no rush. That medium-sized world might have quasi-emperor divine dragons. With our strength, I'm afraid we won't be able to go in. We have to report this matter and ask the clan to send more experts. The youth from before said. That's the only way. What a pity. Some of the youths sighed. If they could succeed, the merit would be great. If they reported it, the merit would be much less. What they didn't know was that their conversation had been heard by Lu Ming. They're really courting death. Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly. There's actually a medium-sized world with a large number of divine dragons living there. If these divine dragons are sent back to the dragon clan's mother planet, the number of divine dragons will skyrocket. With Senior Ao Qian's nurturing, there might even be a batch of experts. Lu Ming pondered and decided that he had to make this trip. Lu Ming had an idea. He then flew toward the meteorite where the young man from the Wing clan was. Seeing Lu Ming fly over, the winged men youth immediately stopped talking. Brothers of the winged men, you're right. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Who are you? The winged men youth looked coldly at Lu Ming. Chapter 3701. The winged man race youth coldly looked at Lu Ming. I am Mu Yin. Lu Ming cupped his fists and continued. Many of my clansmen were killed by Lu Ming and the remnants of the dragon race when they entered the dragon race's mother planet. I've been thinking about taking revenge for them all this time. I can't wait to turn that bastard Lu Ming into ashes. At this point, Lu Ming's face was filled with murderous intent, and he gritted his teeth. Hearing Lu Ming's words, the winged man race youth's expression became much better. This was what it meant to have a common enemy. Then why did you come looking for us? Asked one of the winged man race youth. Because I know that many of your winged man race people have also died at the hands of Lu Ming and the remnants of the dragon race. You all want to take revenge on them, right? I have an idea. We can find a lot of dragon race people from the outside world, and use the illusory divine jade to record it, and send it to the illusory space. Do you think that Lu Ming and the remnants of the dragon race will be angered to death when they see it? Although we can't personally kill Lu Ming and the remnants of the dragon race, we can still vent the hatred in our hearts, right? Said Lu Ming. The winged man race's geniuses exchanged glances. Lu Ming's idea happened to coincide with theirs. If we want to kill the dragon race, we can do it ourselves. Why should we cooperate with you? You're just a third-level divine lord. What qualifications do you have to cooperate with us? Said a winged man race youth with a pair of black wings. His face was filled with disdain. The aura Lu Ming revealed was that of a third-level divine lord. Although my cultivation base is only at the third-level divine lord realm, my battle strength is far above that. To put it bluntly, I'm afraid that no one here is my match. Lu Ming said indifferently. Sometimes, when it was time to be strong, one needed to be strong and let the other party know how powerful he was. None of us here are a match for you. The winged man race youth present looked at each other, and then laughed. Their laughter was filled with ridicule. Lu Ming actually said that no one here was his match? What a joke! What a joke! The Sky Prides of the Winged Men clan present were all top-notch Sky Prides of the clan. A few of them were 7th-level divine lords already. There was even an 8th level Divine Lord. The rest were all 4th level, 5th level, and 6th level Divine Lords. They did not snatch the opportunity to enter the Dragon Clan's mother planet previously, but it did not mean that they were weak. A 3rd level Divine Lord actually said that no one present was his match. He could battle an 8th level Divine Lord as a 3rd level Divine Lord. Moreover, he was a proud son of heaven. Idiot! This was the evaluation of Lu Ming by many winged men. A frog at the bottom of a well, truly laughable. The black-winged youth directly sneered, "Brat scram. We don't have time for you. If you're scared, then just say it," Lu Ming said indifferently, looking extremely arrogant. "What did you say?" "I'm scared." Haha. The black-winged youth laughed maniacally. He laughed so hard that tears almost came out of his eyes. "Brat, I want to see just how strong you are." The eyes of the black-winged youth turned cold and murderous. Since Lu Ming wanted to provoke him, he would give Lu Ming an unforgettable lesson. Swoosh. The black-winged youth directly attacked. His palm was like an eagle's claw, grabbing toward Lu Ming. Force held, the power astonishing. In an instant he closed in on Lu Ming. Only at this time did Lu Ming make his move. His move was very simple, pointing a finger out, pointing toward the other party's palm. Courting death. Seeing that a 3rd level Divine Lord trash like Lu Ming actually dared to clash head-on with him, he simply had no idea of life or death. He had a 7th level Divine Lord cultivation. He was seriously much stronger than 3rd level Divine Lords. A casual move could slap a large number of 3rd level Divine Lords to death. Forget about 3rd level Divine Lords, even 6th level Divine Lords, he would similarly insta-kill them too. A mere 3rd level Divine Lord, he seriously did not place him in his sights. Bang! The next instant, the two people's attacks collided together. The instant they collided, the black-winged youth's expression changed, becoming incredulous. Fresh blood splattered, bones and flesh flying. His palm was directly pierced through by Lu Ming, a bloody hole appearing. Swoosh. The black-winged youth's figure retreated explosively. "So this is your strength?" Lu Ming opened his mouth coolly, playing it down but full of mockery. Each of his cells was filled with taboo power. A casual strike, the power was unimaginable. In addition, several kinds of finger-type mystic arts were integrated into the cells of his fingers. That strike just now, the finger-type mystic arts already erupted, the power was very terrifying. The surrounding winged race youths all opened their eyes wide, very surprised. A 3rd level Divine Lord actually injured a 7th level Divine Lord in one move. This was abnormal, too shocking and terrifying. Simply inconceivable. Damn it, kid, I didn't use much strength at all just now, not even 1/10 of it. Again. The black-winged youth roared angrily. He had indeed only used a trace of strength just now. In his view, a mere 3rd level Divine Lord was still someone he could suppress with a flip of his hand. How much strength did he need? Now he knew that he was careless. Bang! The black-winged youth erupted with thick black light all over his body. His cultivation of a 7th level Divine Lord completely erupted. A resplendent battle sword was grasped in his hand. Kill! The sword light was shocking as it slashed toward Lu Ming, illuminating the starry sky. Even in the face of the black-winged youth who had erupted with all his strength, Lu Ming's expression was still calm. He formed a sword with his finger and slashed out. A terrifying sword light burst out from Lu Ming's finger. Boom! The two sword lights collided, and sword chi spread out in all directions. The meteorites under their feet directly exploded, and then were cut into ashes by the sword chi. The other winged race prodigies quickly retreated, leaving this area. The next moment, a figure retreated repeatedly. It was still the black-winged youth. "That's all you've got? Too weak. Suppress." Lu Ming bellowed and dashed toward the other party. He waved his fists continuously, causing the void to vibrate. The terrifying fist pressure was like a violent storm, pressing toward the black-winged youth. How is this possible? Damn it. The black-winged youth was shocked to the extreme, and at the same time he was furious. He erupted with all his strength to resist Lu Ming, but it was destined to be futile. Boom! Boom! The two of them exchanged several moves, and the black-winged youth was completely suppressed. He wasn't a match at all. Bang! Lu Ming's fist struck his wing. His wing was broken, and black feathers fluttered. Then Lu Ming's fist struck his chest. A large hole appeared in his chest, and his bones broke. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere. He retreated, smashing through several meteorites. He vomited large mouthfuls of blood. He was heavily injured. Of course, this was the result of Lu Ming showing mercy. Otherwise he would have already been killed. See. The sound of gasps rang out. The other winged race prodigies were filled with shock. Chapter 3702. All the prodigies of the winged men race looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming could actually defeat the black winged men race. This was too unbelievable. This talent was simply heaven-defying. Where did he come from? Why had they never heard of him before? This talent was even more powerful and terrifying than Lu Ming in the dragon race's mother planet. Damn bastard, attack! Let's attack together and kill this person. The black-winged men race youth stabilized his injuries and roared like a madman. He had actually been defeated by a third-level divine lord, and it seemed like he had been defeated easily. This was a great humiliation. He was furious and couldn't wait to turn Lu Ming into ashes. Enough! At this moment, a dignified and cold voice rang out. A silver-haired youth stepped out. This was another winged men race youth. His cultivation was very high, reaching the 8th level divine lord realm. He was the leader of the winged men race. In-E, kill this person for me. The black winged men race youth roared. Enough! Stop right now. The silver-haired youth, In-E, reprimanded coldly. The black winged men race youth immediately stopped talking, as if he was afraid of In-E. Brother Mu's combat prowess is really admirable. You have such combat prowess at the 3rd level divine lord realm. Even Lu Ming can't compare to you. I'm afraid not many people in the top 10 clans can be compared to Brother Mu. In-E said. Brother In, you flatter me. How could I dare to compare with the prodigies of the top 10 races? The difference is too great. Lu Ming said modestly. Brother Mu wants to kill the divine dragon to provoke Lu Ming and the remaining members of the dragon race. My winged men race also has the same intention. Moreover, we happen to know a place where the divine dragons gather. Brother Mu, are you willing to come with us? In-E said. That's what I want. Lu Ming readily agreed. The black winged men race youth swallowed a healing pill to heal his injuries. He glared at Lu Ming with cold light flashing in his eyes. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered with him. After that, Lu Ming followed In-E and the others and left the dragon race's mother planet, heading towards the territory controlled by the winged men race. A few days later, they arrived at a planet controlled by the winged clan. The people living on this planet were all from the winged men clan. There were all kinds of winged people. There were thunder-winged beings, storm-winged beings, snow-winged beings, shadowless winged beings, gold-winged beings, and so on. Lu Ming was arranged to stay in a side courtyard. In another hall, the Silver-Winged Clan, Black-Winged Clan, and the others had gathered. Silver Wing, why did you bring Mu Yun along? Why didn't we work together to kill him? The Black-Winged youth said, still filled with hatred and killing intent towards Lu Ming. There's no need to kill him for now. He's very strong and can be used by us. Silver Wing said, his eyes flashing with wisdom. We're going to the place where the divine dragons gather. There are many powerful divine dragons in that medium-sized world. Our god kings can't go in, so it's still dangerous for us to take down that divine dragon world. Isn't it better to let this person take the lead as cannon fodder? Silver Wing continued. Wonderful, wonderful. The other winged nation youths all praised him. The black-winged youth's eyes also lit up. Not only Mu Yun, we also need to gather a group of experts from other clans to enter that medium-sized world, and let them be cannon fodder. All right, I'll go find Lord Feng Chu now and ask him to arrange this operation to capture the divine dragons. After saying that, he left the place. The Lord Feng Chu he mentioned was the commander of the Winged Men clan in this star field, a very powerful God King expert. When Silver Wing mentioned this matter, Commander Feng Chu immediately agreed to send experts to help them. Moreover, Feng Chu also wanted to gather a group of people from other clans to be cannon fodder. Silver Wing naturally agreed. The area controlled by the Winged Men clan was the border of the Winged Men clan, close to the other clans. At the same time, it was also a bustling commercial area, where people from other clans often came to do business. This time, the Winged Men clan offered a generous reward, so when the news came out, many people came to sign up. After 2 rounds of screening, the strongest 100 people were selected. Lu Ming certainly didn't need to be selected as he had already proven himself. Just like this, after everything was settled, it was already a month later. At this time, the Winged Men clan began to set off. This time, a few God Kings personally led the team, the Winged Men clan, and the experts from other clans added up to more than 500 people. Together, they came to a relatively barren star river. In front of them there were 9 stars, arranged in a strange way, forming a line. The entrance to the medium-sized world of the Divine Dragon clan is here, Silver Wing said. Let me open it. A God King expert of the Winged Men clan flew forward, his body blossoming with divine light, and a terrifying aura pervaded the air. The wings behind his back flapped, a powerful force burst out, entangling the 9 stars, and then the 9 stars were pushed and moved slowly. Rumble. The starry sky shook, and finally, the 9 stars arranged themselves into the shape of a dragon. Then, the void rippled like water, and a gap appeared in the starry sky. The gap has been opened, go in. After you succeed, send a message through the illusory divine jade, and I will open the passage again. The God King said. This was a medium-sized world, very similar to a small kiliacosm, attached to the chaotic universe. However, a medium-sized world was much more stable than a small kiliacosm, and the cultivation environment was also much better, and it could accommodate more experts. For example, in the primordial world of the heavenly world where Lu Ming was, 3rd-level void god realm was the limit. Any stronger and the small kiliacosm could easily collapse. The medium-sized world in front of them could only accommodate quasi-emperors. If a God King went in, the whole world could easily collapse. Therefore, the strongest expert that went in this time was a quasi-emperor. Let's go. Silver Wing took the lead, flying forward. Then the others also moved, flying towards the passage. Lu Ming followed them, entering the passage together. In the next moment, Lu Ming and the others stood on a mountain peak. In the sky, there was a huge passageway that was slowly rotating. After they all entered, the passageway slowly disappeared. Let's go in batches, 5 batches. Each batch has about 100 people. If you see a divine dragon, try not to kill it. Once you capture it, put it in your Qianquan bag, and then go to the outer region of the Dragon Clan's mother planet to fight. Understand? Silver Wing said. The others nodded. Among these people, Silver Wing's status was the highest. He was the top genius. Although there were many quasi-emperors present, they were all seniors. Although their combat strength was stronger than Silver Wing's, their talent was far from comparable. Naturally, their status was lower than Silver Wing's. Then they divided into 5 batches. Whether it was intentional or not, Lu Ming, Silver Wing, and the Black Winged Man youth were in the same group. When the Black Winged Man youth looked at Lu Ming, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 3703. Over 500 people split into 5 groups and headed off in 5 different directions. Lu Ming, Silver Wing, and the rest, together with nearly 100 people, flew toward the front and left. Whoosh! When they flew past, the space was split open like water ripples, allowing their speed to be astonishingly fast. It was as if they were breaking through space to advance. What a fragile space! Lu Ming pondered. The stability of space here was worlds apart from the primitive universe. Lu Ming felt like he could break space with just a slight movement. It was the same feeling as when Lu Ming's cultivation base had reached the peak of that world. He could break space at will. Before long, they arrived in front of a castle. This castle was where the divine dragons gathered. Lu Zhan, check the cultivation base of the strongest dragon in this castle. Silver Wing instructed an old winged man with a crooked nose. Although this old winged man was a quasi-emperor, he was very old and didn't have much lifespan left. He wouldn't be able to break through to the divine emperor realm in his lifetime, so his status was much lower than Silver Wing's. Yes, the old winged man Lu Zhan spread out his spiritual sense, enveloping the entire castle. After a while Lu Zhan said, "Young master, the strongest is a 4th-level divine lord." "Only a 4th-level divine lord. Then attack." Silverwing stepped into the air. The others also flew forward. The strongest was a 4th-level divine lord, so they didn't feel any pressure. Set up the formation. The dragons in the castle also noticed Silverwing's group. The castle lit up, and dragon roars rang out. A grand formation appeared, enveloping the castle. "You want to stop me with a mere formation? You're dreaming." Silverwing sneered. The silver wings on his back lit up, turning into a saber light that slashed out. Boom! The saber light slashed the castle's formation, causing it to explode. It couldn't withstand Silverwing's attack. Then Silverwing reached out with a large hand and grabbed it. "Fight them!" Roar! Angry roars could be heard from the castle, and numerous divine dragons flew out. Most of these divine dragons were 5-clawed divine dragons. Only a few were 6-clawed divine dragons. The highest cultivation was merely 4th-level divine lord. The difference was too great. There was no comparison at all. Silverwing's claw grabbed at that 4th-level divine lord 6-clawed divine dragon, directly crushing the other party's attack and defense, grabbing the other party in his hand like grabbing a small bug. Then Silverwing took out a golden pouch. The bag expanded rapidly. Then Silverwing grabbed Shenlong and stuffed him into the bag. They were not going to kill them here. They were going to bring them outside the dragon race's mother planet. They were going to hunt these dragons, drink their blood and eat their meat. Then they were going to send it to the illusory space for Lu Ming to see and stimulate Lu Ming, Ao Yan, and the others. "Haha, little reptile, surrender now that you're dead. Can't even withstand a single blow." The people of the Winged Men tribe and the other tribes laughed heartily. They used their techniques to capture all the mystical dragons and stuffed them into the golden pouch. The golden pouch was called the Qianquan pouch, and it could hold living things. Soon, all the mystical dragons in the castle were taken down. The castle was also razed to the ground. Then they continued forward. Whenever they came across a castle or city, they would immediately capture the mystical dragons and stuff them into the Qianquan pouch. In less than a day, they had captured thousands of mystical dragons. The next day, they came to a strange place. There was a huge mountain in front of them. On the side of the mountain, there was a huge cave. It was more than 100 miles wide and unfathomably deep. This was a dragon's den. Wherever there was a dragon's den, there would definitely be a large number of mystical dragons gathered. Moreover, there might be extremely powerful existences. This dragon's den is not simple. It's very likely that there are 9th-level divine lords, or even quasi-emperors. The old winged man Lu Zhan transmitted to Silverwing. Silverwing nodded silently. Then he turned and transmitted to the other winged men. "There should be quite a few mystical dragons in this dragon's den. I'll leave it to you. Go and capture the mystical dragons in this dragon's den." The black-winged man youth stepped forward. His sharp and cold gaze swept over Lu Ming and the other tribes. There were about 100 people from the other tribes in total. They were divided into 5 groups. There were about 20 of them here. Many people's expressions changed when the black-winged man youth's gaze swept over them. "Let us go." "Why don't you go?" an old man who looked like a gorilla asked. "It's just a dragon's den. There's no need for us to go. You guys can go. You have to work here," the black-winged man youth said. "I think you want us to be cannon fodder. There's definitely a terrifying existence in this dragon's den. There might even be quasi-emperors. If the 20 of us go, I'm afraid it won't bode well for us." At this moment, Lu Ming spoke. The bone demon resided in his sea of consciousness. The bone demon didn't follow his past self. Instead, he followed his present self out. He didn't want to be trapped in the dragon race's mother planet. With the bone demon around, he clearly knew that there were quasi-emperors in this dragon's den. Moreover, there were no quasi-emperors among the 20 of them. Letting them take the lead would be suicide. The winged men clearly wanted them to be cannon fodder. As soon as he said that, the expressions of the 20 experts who weren't from the winged race changed, becoming extremely unsightly. "Kid, what nonsense are you talking about?" The black-winged man youth stared coldly at Lu Ming. I'm talking nonsense. Haha, this dragon's den is obviously extraordinary. Do you think we're fools? Lu Ming sneered. That's right. If you want to go, we'll go together. What do you mean by asking us to go alone? That's right. We came here to assist the winged men. If you want us to die, I won't do it. At most, I'll withdraw. I won't earn this money. The others started to clamor. Since you're already here, it's not up to you. Imi said coldly. Shua Shua, one of the people present, flashed and formed a semicircle, blocking Lu Ming and the others' escape route. What are you doing? The winged men will offend my clan if you do this. The Sky Traveler clan isn't afraid of you. Some people shouted. If you don't listen to us, no one will know even if we kill you. They'll only think that you died in the hands of the dragon race. Your clansmen will only seek revenge from the dragon race. Yin said coldly. The faces of the other clansmen turned ugly. Obviously they had been tricked. They had no choice but to follow the winged men's orders. Also, this kid has disrupted the morale of the army. He's guilty of a heinous crime. Now you'll be the first to charge into the dragon's den. I'll spare your life. The black-winged man youth looked at Lu Ming and shouted coldly. If you want to go, then go. I'm not interested. Lu Ming replied indifferently. Kid, you're courting death. The black-winged man youth's eyes flashed coldly. His killing intent was as cold as a blade. Divine light spread out from his body. If it wasn't for his fear of Lu Ming, he would have already killed Lu Ming. Chapter 3704. However, Lu Ming did not even look at the black-winged man youth. Everyone, it's obvious that the winged man clan wants us to be cannon fodder and lead the charge. Even if this dragon cave is fine, there will be more and more. How can they let us leave alive after doing such a despicable thing? Lu Ming said loudly. His words made the faces of the 20 experts from various races turn even uglier. Indeed, the winged man clan would definitely let them spread such a despicable thing. They would definitely make them cannon fodder until they died. Many of them revealed a ruthless look. In that case, why don't we fight to the death and kill our way out? Lu Ming said loudly. Kill our way out. Without the winged man clan's divine emperor, you can kill your way out. Also, with the winged man clan's divine emperor guarding outside, you can break out. Silverwing sneered. Many people turned pale. Indeed, even if they broke out of the encirclement, they would not be able to kill their way out. So don't listen to this kid's nonsense. Let's cooperate. The winged man clan will not let you die in vain. You just need to check the situation ahead. If there are experts, we will definitely act. Also, if any of you have illusory divine jades, you can spread the news at any time. The winged man clan will not do such a despicable thing. It will be easily spread. Silverwing continued. Indeed, many people felt relieved after hearing this. However, this kid will have to pay the price for disturbing the morale of the army. Silverwing looked at Lu Ming with a cold glint in his eyes. He originally wanted to use Lu Ming as cannon fodder, but since Lu Ming did not know what was good for him, he could only get rid of him in advance. Attack! Kill him! The black-winged man youth yelled. Kill! With a long roar, someone took the initiative to attack. The first to attack was none other than Lu Ming. Since the battle was unavoidable, Lu Ming would not hesitate. Moreover, his battle intent was strong and he was not afraid, even if the winged man clan had many quasi-emperors. However, these were all ordinary quasi-emperors. Lu Ming had long wanted to see how strong he was when he used his full strength. Lu Ming took the initiative to attack. His target was the black-winged man attack. Attack! The black-winged man youth roared. His divine power erupted, forming two black sharp blades, slashing towards Lu Ming. Beside the black-winged youth, two old men also made their move. These two old men were both 9th-level Divine Lord powerful existences. The three of them attacked Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was fearless. He didn't even bother to defend himself. He directly punched out. Boom boom boom, several rumbles in a row. The black-winged youths and the two 9th-level Divine Lord powerhouses' attacks were directly broken apart by Lu Ming's fist. Lu Ming rushed past, and the remaining attacks landed on Lu Ming's body. They only left a few bloody scars on his body, but they didn't do much damage. Lu Ming continued to attack the black-winged youth. Stop him! The black-winged man youth was shocked and quickly retreated. As for the two 9th-level Divine Lord Elders, they dashed out and attacked, wanting to stop Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming punched out twice, and the two 9th-level Divine Lords coughed up blood and retreated. Now Lu Ming had erupted with his full strength. Every cell was trembling, and a powerful energy spread out from each cell. The energy of 60 trillion cells intertwined, terrifying to the extreme. Lu Ming instantly arrived in front of the black-winged man youth. I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming's cold voice rang out, scaring the black-winged man youth into roaring in fright. Save me! Quickly save me! The black-winged man youth roared. Kill him! Quickly kill him! Silver Wing also roared. He turned into a silver ray of light and charged at Lu Ming. At the same time, the other winged men experts also attacked. Terrifying attacks surged towards Lu Ming like a storm. Quasi-emperors, and there were many of them. Lu Ming instantly determined that there were at least 10 quasi-emperors among the winged men. However, these people were still a step too late. Lu Ming's attack had already blasted towards the black-winged man youth. The black-winged man youth was naturally unwilling to be killed, so he tried his best to resist. However, the fist energy passed through, and the black-winged man youth's attack was directly defeated. His body suddenly exploded. A destructive force rushed towards his sea of consciousness. How is this possible? The black-winged man youth's eyes widened in disbelief. Last time, he could clearly block several of Lu Ming's moves without dying. This time, he couldn't even block one move. Is this his true strength? This was the last thought that flashed through the black-winged man youth's mind. Then, his soul was turned to ashes under the destructive force. The black-winged man youth was killed by Lu Ming with a single punch. At this time, the other attacks were about to hit Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming shook his muscles and rushed forward, avoiding many attacks. However, there were still two quasi-emperor's attacks that bombarded his back. Lu Ming's body shook violently. The two incomparably sharp attacks broke through his defense and even broke his bones. Lu Ming's body flew out tens of thousands of meters and crashed into a mountain. Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. The strength of a quasi-emperor is indeed strong. It's much stronger than a 9th-level divine monarch. Lu Ming thought. Previously, even a 9th-level divine monarch expert couldn't break through Lu Ming's defense. However, a quasi-emperor directly broke his bones. However, a steady stream of energy emerged from the cells in Lu Ming's wound. As soon as this energy came out, Lu Ming's injuries recovered at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming's injuries were almost healed. Yes, it seems like my strength has increased a bit. Lu Ming was slightly stunned. He felt that after his injuries were healed, his strength had increased a bit, and he was a bit closer to a 4th-level divine monarch. Could it be that the potential of my cells has been developed? Lu Ming thought of the cultivation method of the taboo energy that Fei Huang had told him. To cultivate the taboo energy, one would normally need to absorb a large amount of energy. However, this energy wouldn't directly increase his cultivation. Instead, it would fuse into each of his cells and strengthen his potential. Only by constantly developing his potential would this energy be transformed into his cultivation. And the injuries he had suffered just now had also unknowingly developed his potential. Am I going to become a masochist? The more I get beaten, the stronger I become. Lu Ming was a bit speechless. Kill. At this time, Silver Wing and the other experts of the winged race had already arrived. Lu Ming's figure flashed and dodged in another direction. At the same time, he constantly punched, his fist energy breaking through the air and resisting some of the attacks. However, the strength of a quasi-emperor was truly shocking. Furthermore, there were several middle-aged quasi-emperors among them. Their strength was even more terrifying. These people weren't particularly old, but they had already reached the quasi-emperor realm. Their talent wasn't weak, and they were stronger than ordinary quasi-emperors. Chapter 3705. Boom. There was a violent roar and Lu Ming's body was once again sent flying. He crashed into a few mountain ranges and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, his injuries were quickly healing. Roar. At this moment, The dragon's roar rang out. The dragon's cave naturally noticed the commotion and set up a large formation, ready for battle. As for Silverwing, he led dozens of winged men to attack Lu Ming once again. Come! Lu Ming charged out of the rubble, his battle intent soaring. Boom! He activated the battle character art, increasing his battle strength by 5 times. The battle character art followed his body. Lu Ming had already tested it. Even if it was a taboo energy, activating the battle character art could still increase his battle strength. After activating the battle character art, Lu Ming's battle strength soared. Instead of retreating, he charged toward the winged men, punching out at their attacks. There was a secret technique hidden in each of his fists, and each of his fists was capable of destroying an attack. Lu Ming was bathed in attacks. Dozens of attacks were all defeated. Lu Ming charged through. Although he was covered in blood, he didn't feel anything. He directly charged toward some of the weaker winged men. Boom! After a few punches, several winged men's bodies exploded. They died on the spot. Retreat! All of you retreat! Quasi-emperors surround him. Silverwing roared. Lu Ming's battle strength had deeply shocked him. Lu Ming was only a 3rd-level divine lord, but he could fight against a quasi-emperor. He could even kill a 9th-level divine lord. This kind of battle strength was simply unimaginable. Even existences below the quasi-emperor level couldn't cause any harm to Lu Ming. Therefore, the winged men below the quasi-emperor level retreated and used long-range attacks to restrain Lu Ming. As for the quasi-emperors, they surrounded Lu Ming. There were a total of 13 quasi-emperors. This was a shocking force. Vast divine power surged. This area was completely boiling. Space was fragmenting, and the ground was cracking and exploding. This was only a middle-sized world, and its stability could not be compared to the primitive universe. It could not withstand the full power of more than 10 quasi-emperors. The 13 quasi-emperors unleashed their ultimate moves and attacked Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He stared at one of the quasi-emperors and charged over. He did not care about the attacks of the others. Boom boom! Lu Ming's fists continuously punched out, and the space was beaten into a chaotic color. The destructive force completely engulfed the void as it surged toward the quasi-emperor. In the blink of an eye, the two sides had exchanged 5 or 6 moves. It was obvious that Lu Ming had the upper hand. His fist energy pierced through the quasi-emperor's attack. The quasi-emperor coughed out blood and retreated. Lu Ming's fist energy had left a huge hole in his chest. However, at the same time, the attacks of the other quasi-emperors also landed on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's spine, back, shoulders, and other places had been integrated with some defensive secret arts. At this moment, these secret arts were all activated. However, the combined attack of more than 10 quasi-emperors was too powerful. These secret arts could only block a portion of the power. Poochie! Crack! The flesh and blood on Lu Ming's back and shoulders exploded. Even his bones were cracked. Waves of excruciating pain spread throughout his body. However, a large amount of energy immediately surged out of every cell, healing Lu Ming's injuries at an astonishing speed. Lu Ming ignored his injuries and continued to attack that quasi-emperor. His attacks did not stop at all. That quasi-emperor did his best to block, but he had already been injured by Lu Ming and was much weaker. How could he block Lu Ming's attacks? After a few more punches, that quasi-emperor screamed miserably. His body was torn apart, and his soul also turned to ashes under the violent power. A quasi-emperor was killed just like that. Back then, in the Taishu dynasty, a quasi-emperor was a supreme existence for Lu Ming. In the battle between the Taishu dynasty, the Wu people, and the Tianyi sacred dynasty, a quasi-emperor could play a key role in determining victory or defeat. Now, Lu Ming had killed a quasi-emperor with his own hands. Moreover, this quasi-emperor was from the Wingmen clan. His combat strength was much stronger than that of the quasi-emperors of the Taishu dynasty. In other words, now that Lu Ming had returned to the Taishu dynasty, no one except the immortal demon was his match. However, killing a quasi-emperor was not without a price. Lu Ming was attacked again. The place where he was attacked was badly mutilated, and many of his bones were broken. It was a horrible sight. After being seriously injured, even with Lu Ming's recovery ability, It was difficult for him to recover in a short time. Kill him completely. I want him to die without a burial place. Silver Wing roared hysterically. Lu Ming's combat strength frightened him from the bottom of his soul. This kind of combat strength, this kind of talent was too monstrous. If he didn't get rid of Lu Ming today, he would be the one to die in the future. There were still 12 quasi-emperors left. They once again used their trump cards to attack Lu Ming. If you want to kill me, you have to pay the price. Lu Ming shouted coldly. He continued to stare at one of the quasi-emperors and attacked. Boom, boom, boom. His attacks were like a storm, constantly surging toward that quasi-emperor. Just like before, he completely ignored the attacks of the others. Damn it. That quasi-emperor was frightened because he found that although Lu Ming was injured, his combat strength had not weakened at all. The two of them exchanged a few moves. He felt that the bones in his hand were broken, his wings were pierced, and feathers were flying everywhere. At this time, Lu Ming was attacked again. His chest was pierced. Even his head had suffered a heavy blow, causing him to feel a little dizzy. Lu Ming endured the pain. His attacks did not weaken at all. Finally, that quasi-emperor was unable to endure any longer. He was torn apart by Lu Ming, dying on the spot. Boom. Lu Ming was smashed into the ground. The ground exploded, and everything within hundreds of millions of miles collapsed. Not far away, the dragon cave was protected by the Grand Formation. That was why it was safe. Who is this person? How can he be so monstrous? The 20 people from the other races stared at this scene with their mouths agape. They were so shocked that they couldn't be any more shocked. Lu Ming's combat prowess had deeply shocked these people. Don't split up. Gather together and attack. Don't let him defeat you one by one, roared one of the quasi-emperors. The remaining 11 quasi-emperors gathered together and chased after Lu Ming. Bang! The ground exploded, and Lu Ming charged out. But this time, Lu Ming did not charge at them. Instead, he flew into the distance. He fled. Lu Ming did not continue fighting because his injuries were too heavy. If he continued fighting, it would not be good for him. Furthermore, as the battle continued, Lu Ming felt that his recovery ability was weakening. This made Lu Ming feel uncertain. Lu Ming was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared over the horizon. Chase! The 11 quasi-emperors, as well as Silver Wing and the others, chased after Lu Ming. But they found that Lu Ming was very fast, even faster than quasi-emperors. The distance between them was slowly increasing. 2 hours later, they could no longer see Lu Ming's figure. Chapter 3706. Stop chasing. At this time Silver Wing shouted. Although he was unwilling, he could only give up. Young master, this kid is too monstrous. We must get rid of him, or else we won't be able to live in peace in the future. The winged man Lu Zhan said. It doesn't matter. Even if we let him escape, he won't be able to leave this world. There are divine emperors of the winged men guarding outside. He'll be courting death if he goes out. Let's capture the divine dragons of this world first. Then let the divine emperors destroy this world. That kid will definitely die, Silver Wing said, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Young master, you're right. That kid can't run forever. Let's go capture the divine dragons first, Lu Zhan said. Then they left this place and headed to the dragon cave. After Lu Ming shook off the winged men, he flew for more than an hour. After a few hours, Lu Ming's injuries were almost healed. There were no visible wounds on the surface of his body. Lu Ming found a secluded place and sat down cross-legged. Forbidden energy is indeed magical. It's said that even a single cell can come back to life. Looks like it's true. However, it should require a large amount of energy. The energy I absorbed from those divine herbs seems to be running out. Lu Ming pondered. After this battle, Lu Ming had a better understanding of the effects of the taboo power. Each of his cells contained forbidden energy, which contained the energy of divine herbs. Therefore, when he was injured, the energy would be stimulated, allowing him to recover quickly. However, when the energy was exhausted, it would be much slower for him to recover. Looks like I'll have to absorb more energy in the future and store it in my cells to increase my potential. Lu Ming said. He carefully sensed that every cell in his body was filled with a sense of hunger. This was a sign of energy deficiency. Then let's refine some divine herbs first. Lu Ming waved his hand, and many divine herbs appeared in his hand. When Lu Ming left the dragon race's mother planet, he brought a large amount of divine herbs with him. After all, his past self was still on the dragon clan's mother planet. There was no shortage of elixirs at all. Hence, most of the elixirs that he had obtained previously were carried by his current self. Lu Ming took out a stock of divine medicine. With a thought, his body trembled slightly. Every cell in his body emitted a powerful attractive force. The energy of this stock of divine medicine was quickly absorbed. Soon, the energy of the entire stock of divine medicine was completely absorbed by the cells and distributed to each of them. The energy of a divine herb was distributed to 60 trillion cells. Each cell couldn't get much. Lu Ming could still feel the hunger in his cells. Lu Ming continued to refine the second divine herb. Just like that, Lu Ming continued to refine the godly herbs. After refining a few dozen stalks of godly herbs, the hunger finally subsided a little. Only about 3%. Lu Ming muttered. He had a feeling that the energy stored in his cells had only reached about 3%. He could continue to store more energy to increase his potential. The more he stored, the more he could be reborn even if he was left with only a single cell. Continue. Then, Lu Ming took out a stock of Divine Emperor level divine herb. Divine Emperor level divine herbs were used by divine emperors. Generally speaking, divine lords couldn't use them. If the medicinal power was too strong, they would explode. But Lu Ming didn't have such a problem now. 60 trillion cells could absorb energy. How much could he absorb? Begin. Lu Ming held the Divine Emperor level divine herb. His cells emitted a strong attractive force. The medicinal power of the divine herb was constantly being absorbed by his cells. However, the medicinal power of a Divine Emperor level divine herb was unusually strong. Lu Ming spent a total of 5 days to completely absorb the medicinal power of this stock of divine herb. It's almost at 20%. Lu Ming sensed the situation of his cells. Moreover, my cultivation is about to break through. I should take the opportunity to break through in one go. A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. Previously, he had fought with the winged men and killed 2 quasi-emperors. He had also been seriously injured. Such a life and death battle was very beneficial to stimulating one's potential. With his potential stimulated, Lu Ming's cultivation rapidly increased. He was only a paper away from 4th level Divine Lord. Lu Ming only needed to break through this paper, and his cultivation would naturally be able to break through. Lu Ming began to cultivate according to the cultivation method of the taboo power that Fei Huang had passed on to him. Buzz. Lu Ming swung his fists. The void trembled slightly. As he swung his fists, the muscles, bones, and blood in his body rhythmically vibrated along with his fists. All the cells in his body also vibrated along with his fists. Traces of potential were stimulated, strengthening Lu Ming. Lu Ming focused on cultivating. The speed at which he swung his fists became faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. After 3 days of continuous cultivation, Lu Ming's aura had reached its peak. Boom. Lu Ming, who was swinging his fists, suddenly felt the strength in his body skyrocket. The taboo power that emerged from every cell was even stronger. Breakthrough. Lu Ming's cultivation had finally broken through to 4th level Divine Lord. This caused Lu Ming's battle strength to skyrocket. Not bad. Lu Ming stopped and nodded. I hope the winged men haven't left yet. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Then his figure moved and he broke through the void. His direction was the depths of this world. Soon, Lu Ming returned to the dragon cave that he had passed by previously. At this moment, the dragon cave had already collapsed. There was not a single divine dragon inside. This dragon cave only had 1 quasi-emperor at most. It could not stop Silver Wing and the others at all. It was expected that it would be broken through. Lu Ming continued forward. Along the way, he saw many broken castles, cities, and dragon caves. This world was a mess. Suddenly Lu Ming's gaze changed. He sensed a weak dragon energy in one of the dragon caves. Lu Ming's taboo power had been refined by the dragon race's experts for a long time. It now had some dragon characteristics. So Lu Ming was very sensitive to dragon energy. Lu Ming entered the dragon's lair and discovered a divine dragon in an extremely secretive place. This was a 7-clawed divine dragon. It was very young. When it realized that Lu Ming had discovered it, it roared and charged at Lu Ming. "I'll fight you to the death." The 7-clawed divine dragon roared, its eyes red. Its claws repeatedly clawed at Lu Ming. However, this divine dragon was only a first-level divine lord. The difference between it and Lu Ming was too great. Lu Ming reached out a hand and grabbed it. His palm expanded rapidly, and he grabbed the 7-clawed divine dragon in his hand. The 7-clawed divine dragon struggled with all its might, but it could not move at all. "Damn it! Despicable outsiders, you will all die a horrible death." The divine dragon cursed with all its might. "I'm not with those birdmen. I'm a friend of the dragon race." Lu Ming said. "You want to lie to me? No way." The divine dragon's eyes widened. It clearly did not believe him. Chapter 3707. "You're my prisoner now, why would I lie to you?" Lu Ming said indifferently. The 7-clawed divine dragon was stunned. Indeed, it was a piece of cake for Lu Ming to kill him. It was also a piece of cake for Lu Ming to obtain his belongings. Why would he need to lie to him? For a moment, the 7-clawed divine dragon did not say a word. "Let me ask you, where did those birdmen go?" Lu Ming asked. "You're really not with those birdmen?" The 7-clawed divine dragon asked again. "Don't worry, I have a grudge with those birdmen. I'm looking for them to take revenge. Moreover, I'm old friends with the dragon race. I'll save you and send you to the dragon race's mother planet." Lu Ming said. "What? You can send us to the dragon race's mother planet?" The 7-clawed divine dragon's eyes were wide open, full of doubt, shock, and disbelief. The dragon race's mother planet was a legend to him. He was young and had only heard of the legends of the dragon race's mother planet from the older generation. He heard that the dragon race was once incomparably powerful and dominated the universe. The dragon race's mother planet was the holy land of all the dragon race, worshipped by thousands of dragons. But later, the dragon race was destroyed and the dragon race's mother planet was sealed. The dragon race became the mounts and food of others. It was a tragic sight. And now Lu Ming could actually bring him to the dragon race's mother planet. He was both excited and in disbelief. "Of course." Lu Ming nodded solemnly. "All right, I'll believe you this time. Those birdmen are heading to the imperial capital. They're probably going to attack the imperial capital now. I'll bring you there." The 7-clawed divine dragon gritted his teeth and decided to take a gamble. This world was not big. Anyway, even if he did not lead the way, Lu Ming would be able to find the imperial capital very quickly. Immediately they set off. With the 7-clawed divine dragon leading the way, Lu Ming quickly flew in a direction with the 7-clawed divine dragon. Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. He broke through the void and moved forward. Not long after, he saw a dazzling divine light ahead. The dragon god emperors of this world have all arrived. At this moment, they were all engaged in an intense battle. The dragon clan soon discovered that the winged men had invaded this world. The experts of the divine dragon imperial capital gathered all the divine dragons in the imperial capital and set up a formation to resist the winged men's attack. The winged men clan had originally been divided into 5 groups. Now they had all gathered together and surrounded the imperial capital. Originally, there were about 100 people from other races, but now there were not many left. It could be seen that along the way, the winged men clan had used the other races as cannon fodder, and there were many casualties. At this moment, all of the winged men were surrounding the divine dragon imperial capital and bombarding it. Dazzling divine light soared into the sky as hundreds of attacks of all kinds fell upon the dragon god emperor. Above the Shenlong imperial capital, a grand formation appeared to defend against these attacks. However, right now, the Grand Array could not withstand the attacks of so many powerhouses, and was already in imminent danger. "Block it! You must block it!" A dragon's roar was heard in the Shenlong imperial capital. Some of the more powerful divine dragons had solemn looks in their eyes. They could clearly sense that there were more than 50 quasi-emperors in the Winged Men clan. On the divine dragon's side, there were also quasi-emperors, but there were only a dozen of them. The difference was too great. Once the grand formation was broken, what awaited them would be defeat and death. They're just the Winged Men clan. Back then, when our dragon clan was at its peak, they would not dare to attack us. They could only bow and scrape before us. Damn it. Some of the divine dragons sighed, their faces filled with sorrow and loneliness. Fight. Even if we die, we must drag them down with us. Prepare for battle. Voices rang out one after another. All of the dragon clan showed an expression of facing death as they prepared to fight to the death with the Winged Men clan. Far away. Wait here. Lu Ming instructed the seven-clawed divine dragon, then stepped out without concealing his aura. Now that his cultivation had reached the 4th level Divine Lord realm, his combat strength had skyrocketed, and there was no need for him to hide it. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, the Winged Men clan sensed him. It's that brat. Lu Ming, that brat. How dare he appear again? A few of the Winged Men clan said coldly. In particular, Silverwing's gaze was extremely cold. Originally, I wanted to get the Divine Emperors to destroy this world after dealing with the Divine Dragons and bury this brat here. Since he dares to appear, let's deal with him first. Silverwing's mouth moved slightly as he transmitted a message to some of the Winged Men clan's experts. This time, the Winged Men clan had sent a total of 60 quasi-emperors here. Previously, 2 of them had been killed by Lu Ming, so there were still 58 left. Following Silverwing's order, 20 quasi-emperors stepped out, flapping their wings as they charged toward Lu Ming. They formed a fan shape, forming groups of 2 as they surrounded Lu Ming. They did not dare to underestimate Lu Ming. Silverwing had already warned them that Lu Ming was able to successfully kill 2 quasi-emperors and escape from the encirclement of 13 quasi-emperors. His combat strength was extremely shocking. Many of the Winged Men clan could not help but look over, and the frequency of their attacks decreased. Silverwing and the others did not care. In their opinion, these divine dragons were just turtles in a jar. As long as they dealt with Lu Ming, it would be easy to take down these divine dragons. This brat is not running away. Silverwing's eyes widened. He originally thought that with so many experts chasing after him, Lu Ming would most likely run away. Unexpectedly, not only did Lu Ming not run away, but he also charged in a direction. Could it be that Lu Ming still thought that he could fight with them? Could it be that Lu Ming's cultivation had a breakthrough? Silverwing's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Be careful, don't split up. Silverwing hurriedly shouted. Kill. At this moment, Lu Ming shouted loudly. All the cells in his body vibrated, and a powerful force pushed him forward. His body burst out like a stream of light as he charged toward the 2 quasi-emperors of the Winged Men clan. Lu Ming's sudden increase in speed was beyond the expectations of the Winged Men clan. In an instant, Lu Ming appeared in front of the 2 quasi-emperors of the Winged Men clan. Boom. Lu Ming swung his fists and threw out 2 punches in a row. The void exploded as if it was broken into pieces. The violent force crushed toward the 2 quasi-emperors like a storm. This force is not good. The 2 quasi-emperors of the Winged Men clan's faces changed drastically. Once Lu Ming made his move, they could feel that Lu Ming's power was simply terrifying. The violent force was so oppressive that they could not catch their breath. Without the slightest hesitation, they burst out with all their strength to resist. However, when Lu Ming's fists landed, their attacks directly collapsed. Lu Ming's fists were unstoppable. There was nothing that could not be broken. Ah! 2 shrill screams sounded. The 2 quasi-emperors of the Winged Men clan were torn apart. They were directly killed, and feathers flew everywhere. All of a sudden, the other Winged Men clan members were stunned. There was a moment of absent-mindedness. It was really too shocking. These were 2 quasi-emperors, but Lu Ming had killed them in seconds when they met. They had no room to resist at all, and were directly killed. Chapter 3708. All the winged men fell into a momentary daze. However, for an expert like Lu Ming, that momentary daze could determine life and death. How could Lu Ming miss out on such an opportunity? Whoosh! Lu Ming's figure flashed as he charged at the other two quasi-emperors, his fists raining down on them. Previously, Lu Ming had activated the battle character art to increase his combat prowess by 5 times, pushing his combat prowess to the peak. When the fist energy descended, even the void was destroyed. Although the two quasi-emperors had already reacted and tried their best to block, it was useless. Under the fist energy's pressure, their bodies and bones were crushed, their bodies and souls destroyed. Before Lu Ming broke through, when he activated the battle character art to increase his combat prowess by 5 times, he could already kill ordinary quasi-emperors. Now that he had broken through, his combat prowess had soared. Before Lu Ming, quasi-emperors could not withstand a single blow, and could be killed instantly. After killing these two, Lu Ming's figure did not stop as he charged at the other two quasi-emperors. Gather! Gather together! Don't split up! Quickly gather! Those quasi-emperors roared. The other 10-odd quasi-emperors all charged at the two quasi-emperors in front of Lu Ming. Those two quasi-emperors hastily retreated, wanting to flee. However, they were still a step too late. Kill! Lu Ming hollered and his fist force came crashing down. Lu Ming's fist energy not only contained the power of a taboo, but also the various secret techniques that he had fused with his cells. These secret techniques were hidden, but the instant he attacked, they still burst forth with astonishing power. As expected, the two quasi-emperors of the winged men were easily killed by Lu Ming. In the distance, the 7-clawed divine dragon that Lu Ming brought over was dumbfounded. From the moment Lu Ming attacked until now, it had only been a few breaths of time. However, Lu Ming had already killed 6 quasi-emperors. Such combat prowess was simply shocking. All the divine dragons in the Divine Dragon Royal Capital could not help widening their eyes. They did not expect an expert to suddenly appear and kill 6 quasi-emperors of the winged men. Their hearts couldn't help but burn with passion. Lu Ming's battle prowess gave them hope. Perhaps he would be saved today. When Lu Ming killed 6 quasi-emperors in a row, the remaining 14 quasi-emperors who had charged at Lu Ming had already gathered together. Kill! Lu Ming roared. Even though he was facing 14 quasi-emperors, he was still fearless and launched a fierce attack. The 14 quasi-emperors also shouted as they gathered their attacks and attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not evade at all. He swung his fist and rushed forward, meeting the opponent's attack head-on. Boom boom boom, a terrifying explosion rang out, shaking heaven and earth. The void shattered, and the ground cracked. In the end, Lu Ming rushed past. He was still hit by a few attacks. However, as his cultivation had increased, his defensive ability had also increased. Although the attacks of these quasi-emperors had left wounds on Lu Ming's body, they were not very serious. They were only superficial wounds and his bones were not damaged. His injuries were quickly recovering. In the blink of an eye, he was completely healed. Come. Only your attacks can stimulate my potential. Lu Ming's eyes shone with a fiery light. He found that as long as there was enough energy stored in his cells and his potential was strong, self-abuse might be a shortcut to a quick breakthrough. Therefore, he simply let go of his defense and focused on attacking. Kill, kill, kill. Lu Ming shouted as he stared at the winged men and attacked them. He was too lazy to care about the attacks of the other quasi-emperors. After a few consecutive punches, he defeated the attacks in front of him. Then, a quasi-emperor of the winged men screamed as his chest was penetrated by Lu Ming's punch, and his body exploded. Following which Lu Ming's arm shook. Every cell in his body emitted a terrifying force that exploded in all directions all of a sudden. The quasi-emperor's body and head exploded like a watermelon. He died on the spot. Then Lu Ming's left hand slashed out, and a resplendent sword light cut another quasi-emperor in half. His soul was also extinguished by the sword light. As for the other quasi-emperors, their attacks landed on Lu Ming's body, sending Lu Ming flying. His body was in tatters and bleeding. However, Lu Ming's injuries were rapidly recovering. As Lu Ming recovered, he could feel his strength increasing. That's right, being injured actually stimulated his potential. It was many times faster than cultivating by himself. This made Lu Ming even more excited. He decided to find more people to fight in the future. Lu Ming ignored his injuries and charged at the other quasi-emperors, as if he didn't care about his life. More importantly, after charging a short distance, his injuries were almost completely healed. Freak, this is freak. Freak, freak. Those quasi-emperors were all horrified. Lu Ming's performance was simply freakish. How were they supposed to fight him? Attack together. Ignore the dragon race's people. Attack together and kill this brat first. Silver Wing roared. He was also incomparably terrified. How long had it been? And Lu Ming's combat strength had increased again. Soon he would become even more terrifying. He had to kill Lu Ming. The remaining 38 quasi-emperors all put down the Divine Dragon Imperial capital and charged at Lu Ming together. However, by the time they arrived, Lu Ming had already killed 2 quasi-emperors of the winged men. Of the 20 quasi-emperors at the start, Lu Ming had already killed 10 of them. Good. Seeing the remaining 38 quasi-emperors charging over, Lu Ming was not shocked. Instead, he was delighted. His muscles trembled as he ignored the remaining 10 quasi-emperors and charged at the 38 quasi-emperors. Those 38 quasi-emperors hadn't expected Lu Ming to be so bold as to take the initiative to attack them. So they hadn't gathered together. Now that they saw Lu Ming charging over, they were given a fright. Then, all kinds of attacks rained down on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming did not care about these attacks at all. He charged forward and allowed these attacks to land on his body, leaving wounds on his body. He charged past them and charged toward the few quasi-emperors of the winged men. Not good. Those quasi-emperors' expressions changed. They wanted to retreat, but it was too late. Lu Ming easily killed them. Following that, Lu Ming charged in another direction. Miserable screams rang out continuously. These quasi-emperors weren't a match for Lu Ming. No matter what kind of attacks landed on Lu Ming didn't care. As long as Lu Ming got close, they would die. Furthermore, Lu Ming didn't show any signs of weakening. Instead, he seemed to be getting stronger. Before long, another 10 quasi-emperors of the winged men were killed by Lu Ming. In total, 20 quasi-emperors had died at Lu Ming's hands. Of the 58, only 38 remained. All the remaining winged race members trembled in fear and started to retreat. Run. Just at this moment, a quasi-emperor roared in fear. When he saw Lu Ming charging at him, he immediately turned and fled. The moment he left, the other quasi-emperors also turned and fled in fear. Originally, the remaining quasi-emperors had gathered together. If Lu Ming wanted to kill them, it wouldn't be that easy. But now their formation was in chaos. Chapter 3709. The winged quasi-emperor's formation was messed up, making it harder for them to form a fighting force. Lu Ming charged forward, killing one person with each move. In an instant he killed 5 to 6 people consecutively. Damn it! Retreat! Retreat! Silver Wing roared, his expression ugly. There were so many of them, but they were forced to flee by Lu Ming alone. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. But in this situation, if they did not flee, they would only be killed by Lu Ming one by one. Kill our way out! At this moment, the strongest divine dragon in the Divine Dragon Imperial capital roared. They would not miss this opportunity. Kill! Kill our way out! Many divine dragons roared. In an instant, hundreds of powerful divine dragons left the imperial capital and charged toward the winged men. This group of divine dragons had more than a dozen quasi-emperors and more than 100 9th-level divine lords. Together, they were very powerful, and the quasi-emperors of the winged men were being chased by Lu Ming. So no one from the winged men could stop the divine dragons. Hundreds of winged men experts were killed in a single exchange. The divine dragon experts broke through the formation of the winged men as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. The winged men were sent flying in all directions. Kill that silver bird man! A quasi-emperor divine dragon roared and led his men to charge at Silver Wing. Silver Wing's expression changed. Under the protection of several experts, he hurriedly fled. However, the divine dragon experts stared at Silver Wing, not letting him escape. They were getting closer and closer. Save me! Quickly save me! Silver Wing roared. Although he was also a top-notch monstrous talent, He was only at the 8th level Divine Lord realm after all. If he was asked to deal with a boundary emperor, he would probably be a little lacking. Facing more than a dozen boundary emperors at the Divine Dragon realm, only death awaited him. Go save young Master Silverwing. Quickly. Some of the quasi-emperors of the winged men hurriedly flew toward Silverwing. Silverwing's identity was not to be underestimated. Not only was he talented, but he also had a great background. He could not die here. If Silverwing died here, all of them would die as well. They might even implicate their families. Immediately, many quasi-emperors of the winged race flew toward Silverwing. Lu Ming was too lazy to care about these people, so he left them to the Divine Dragon race. Lu Ming charged towards the remaining winged quasi-emperors. Lu Ming intended to kill all of the winged men here. Once the winged men escaped, they would have to face the Divine Emperor's revenge. Although Lu Ming's current battle prowess was not bad, facing a Divine Emperor, only death awaited him. Therefore, Lu Ming increased his speed to the maximum. The space was as fragile as a piece of paper in front of him. He broke through the void and appeared in front of a quasi-emperor in a flash. He then punched him to death. From afar, one could only see Lu Ming constantly flickering in the air. Every time he flickered, a winged quasi-monarch would be killed by Lu Ming. In less than half a minute, more than 10 quasi-emperors had died at the hands of Lu Ming. Go, let's go! Over 10 quasi-emperors of the winged race rushed over to Silverwing to protect him. They wanted to bring him away. But how could the Divine Dragon race let them escape? The winged race had captured a large number of divine dragons along the way, but they had also killed a large number of them. They had long since hated the winged race to the bone. Now that they had a chance to kill the winged race, they were willing to put their lives on the line. Roar! The divine dragons raised their heads and roared. Their slender bodies twisted, completely ignoring their own defenses and crazily attacking. For a moment, the winged race were tied down and unable to escape. As for the scattered quasi-emperors of the winged race, they had already been killed by Lu Ming. Following that, Lu Ming charged toward Silverwing. Damn it! Damn it! Silverwing kept roaring. He was so scared that he was covered in cold sweat. Lu Ming, I've already sent word that my race's divine emperor will soon charge in. At that time, you'll be in a miserable state. If you stop now, you'll still have a chance to live. Roared Silverwing, using the divine emperor to threaten him. He had indeed sent word to the divine emperor guarding the outside world. However, Lu Ming sneered unmoved. Sending word was within Lu Ming's expectations. But so what? Would the divine emperor dare to charge in? There were many people from the Winged Men clan inside. Once the divine emperor came in, this world would definitely collapse. So the winged race's divine emperor outside would definitely wait for the other winged race members to leave before attacking. As long as the winged race members didn't leave, the divine emperor outside wouldn't dare to attack for a while. This was also why Lu Ming wanted to kill all the winged race members. Once they escaped, he would be in danger. If they didn't, he would be safe. Kill! Roared Lu Ming, crazily attacking. He was covered in blood, but he didn't care. He focused all his energy on attacking. Bang! Several more winged race quasi-emperors were killed. Several 9th-level divine sovereigns were struck by his fist energy and exploded, dying on the spot. On the other side, the divine dragon race also stepped up their attacks, killing several winged race experts. With the divine dragon race holding them back, Lu Ming killed the winged race members even faster and more conveniently. With each move, he gained something. This was a completely one-sided massacre. Run! A terrified roar came from the winged men. Then many winged men scattered like birds and beasts, frantically fleeing in all directions. At this moment of life and death, they could no longer care about Silverwing. But now, the winged race's remaining strength was no longer as strong as the divine dragon race. In fact, they were even weaker. Don't let them escape. Tie them down! Roared the divine dragon race. It was like two divine dragons were dealing with one winged race member. They crazily attacked, tightly tying down the winged race member. In their view, as long as they could tie down the winged race members, Lu Ming would be able to kill them. The fact that these winged race members were tied down and unable to break free for a while already represented their fate. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he continued to kill. He first chose a quasi-emperor to kill. The remaining quasi-emperors scattered, and were tied down by the divine dragon race's experts. Facing Lu Ming, they had no power to resist at all. They were all killed by Lu Ming. In a dozen seconds, the winged race's quasi-emperors had all died at Lu Ming's hands. The winged race had sent 60 quasi-emperors this time, and all of them had died at Lu Ming's hands. Of course, to a huge race like the winged race, 60 quasi-emperors was nothing. But to Lu Ming, this was a great achievement. With the quasi-emperors dead, the remaining 9th-level divine sovereigns were even less of a match for Lu Ming. In front of Lu Ming, they had no power to resist. There was no suspense. Lu Ming punched. 7 of them exploded one after another. It didn't take long for the remaining winged race members to be killed. Originally, there were still a few from the other races that hadn't died. Lu Ming didn't care about the consequences and dealt with them all. Chapter 37:10. It's settled. Looking at the corpses of the winged men and the feathers on the ground, the divine dragon race was stunned. Previously, when nearly 60 quasi-emperors of the winged men surrounded them, they had despaired. They thought that they would be wiped out this time. They didn't expect Lu Ming to appear at the crucial moment. It seemed that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 4th level of the Divine Lord realm, but his battle strength was simply shocking. He killed the quasi-emperors of the winged men like they were chickens. They had never heard of such battle strength. At this moment, 5 Qianquan bags appeared in Lu Ming's hand. He had obtained them from killing Silver Wing and the others. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the 5 Qianquan bags flew into the sky and rapidly expanded. Then the Qianquan bags opened, and out flew divine dragons. Roar! The world was filled with the roars of dragons. Divine dragons of different colors flew in the sky. It was a spectacular sight. These divine dragons were all captured by the winged men. As soon as these mystical dragons flew out, they looked around vigilantly. When they saw the divine dragon royal capital, other mystical dragons, and no winged men, they relaxed. What's going on? What happened? Are we saved? Those divine dragons were curious. Immediately, a divine dragon in the divine dragon imperial capital recounted what had just happened. When they heard that Lu Ming had killed all the winged men by himself, they were incomparably shocked. Then, all the divine dragons flew over to Lu Ming and thanked him. Senior Lulu, you're really too amazing. The 7-clawed divine dragon also flew over. He looked at Lu Ming with reverence and worship. However, Lu Ming didn't relax. Don't be happy too early. The crisis hasn't been resolved yet. The winged men have several god emperors guarding outside. If those god emperors attack, we'll all die, Lu Ming said. The moment he said that, the scene fell silent. All the mystical dragons had ugly expressions on their faces. They knew very well what the consequences of a god emperor attacking would be. This world would be destroyed. Then what do we do? Are we just going to wait? Damn it, let's go out and fight them. Angry roars could be heard. Lu Ming raised his hands, and the scene quieted down. After the previous battle, Lu Ming had accumulated a great reputation. Unknowingly, these mystical dragons regarded Lu Ming as their backbone. Actually, there's no need to be afraid. I have a way to send you to the dragon race's mother planet, Lu Ming said. What? You can send us to the dragon race's mother planet? Lu Ming's words caused an uproar. All the mystical dragons were shocked beyond words. The Dragon Clan's mother planet was the legendary Holy Land of the Dragon Clan. Lu Ming could really send them to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. To be honest, not long after I left the mother planet of the dragon race, I met the World Annihilation Divine Dragon Senior Ao Qian. Senior Ao Qian gave me a type of array disc. Before Lu Ming could finish his words, the crowd burst into an uproar. What World Annihilation Divine Dragon Senior Ao Qian? Didn't Senior Ao Qian fall? That's the legendary invincible expert of the Dragon Clan. Do you really know such a great existence? All the dragons stared intently at Lu Ming, their eyes burning with passion. Lu Ming touched his nose speechlessly and said, Senior Ao Qian did not fall. He's now in the Dragon Clan's mother planet. He gave me an array disk that can open a wormhole to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. There's no time to lose. I'll open the wormhole now and send you to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Lu Ming did not delay any further. He took out the 36 array disks that Ao Qian gave him and set up a large array in the air. The 36 array disks were arranged in a circle, emitting a bright light. Then a vortex appeared in the void, and a dark passage appeared in the air. Through the wormhole, Lu Ming could vaguely feel the aura of the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Success! Alright, the wormhole is open. Let's go, Lu Ming said. It really is the Dragon Clan's mother planet. I can feel a familiar aura. I'm excited. Many of the mystical dragons looked excited. Let's go, let's go. Some mystical dragons rushed into the wormhole and disappeared. Now they could only choose to trust Lu Ming. With so many winged men here, it was certain that there were God Emperors guarding outside. The winged men God Emperors outside might think that there were winged men inside, so they did not dare to attack. But as time passed, they would definitely notice that something was wrong. By then it would be too late. Rather than die at the hands of the winged men God Emperors, they might as well take a gamble. The wormhole was very big, and the dragons shrank their bodies. It could accommodate hundreds of dragons at the same time. There were tens of thousands of dragons in this world. It did not take long for them to successfully pass through the wormhole. In the end, only Lu Ming was left. Lu Ming also rushed into the wormhole. With a thought, the 36 disc arrays flew into Lu Ming's hands. The wormhole was disappearing, but Lu Ming's figure was already flying towards the Dragon Clan's mother planet. When he arrived, the wormhole had also disappeared. Lu Ming did not intend to go out and fight the God Emperors. That would be courting death. In a mountain range on the Dragon Clan's mother planet, a large number of dragons descended. What a dense divine aura. Heavens, the density of the divine aura is too shocking. What a stable environment. What a familiar aura. The Dragon Clan's mother planet. I'm sure this is the mother planet. We have really arrived at the mother planet. Many dragons were so excited that they were trembling. Needless to say, as long as they sensed it, they would know that this was the Dragon Clan's mother planet. The Dragon Clan's mother planet was the origin of all dragons. As long as they were divine dragons, they would have a special feeling once they arrived here. They were extremely excited. The cultivation environment here was much better than where they had stayed in the past. Cultivating here, their cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. It would not be like before, where the highest cultivation level they could reach was Quasi-Emperor. I feel that I'm showing signs of a breakthrough. It won't be long before I break through. An old mystical dragon cried out excitedly. This was a Quasi-Emperor. When he was young, he was extremely talented and quickly cultivated to the Quasi-Emperor realm. However, he was unable to break through in that short period of time. He could have left that world to break through, but once he left that world, he would definitely not be able to return after breaking through. He might even be hunted down by the other clans. Many big clans coveted a divine dragon of the Divine Emperor realm. It would be very cool to have a Divine Emperor realm dragon pull a carriage. Therefore, he had been stuck at the Quasi-Emperor realm for many years. When he arrived at the Dragon Clan's mother planet, he immediately felt that he was about to break through. I'm about to break through too. Many dragons were stimulated and felt that they were about to break through. Chapter 37:11. All of the dragon race beings cheered in excitement. This was their homeland, the sacred land of the dragon race. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in the sky. As soon as this figure appeared, it emitted a vast dragon aura. The scene suddenly quietened down. Feeling this vast dragon aura, all the dragons felt extremely pressured. Senior Ao Qian. Lu Ming cupped his fists. The figure in the sky was naturally the World Annihilation Divine Dragon Ao Qian. This is Senior Ao Qian. All the mystical dragons were shaken to their core. The World Annihilation Divine Dragon Ao Qian was the legendary strongest of the dragon race. They actually saw the legend with their own eyes. All the dragons were extremely excited and knelt down to pay their respects. No need to be so polite. Ao Qian waved his hand, and a force spread out. All the dragons stood up at the same time. Ao Qian sized up the tens of thousands of divine dragons, and a trace of excitement flashed in the depths of his eyes. Lu Ming, you're not bad. Ao Qian sighed. Bringing back tens of thousands of divine dragons was a huge gain. As long as they were nurtured well, the dragon race would not be exterminated and would prosper. This was the foundation for the dragon race to rise again. Originally, there were only a few divine dragons left on the dragon race's mother planet. With so few divine dragons, how could the dragon race grow stronger? But with tens of thousands of them, the speed of reproduction would be very fast. This is what I should do. In the future, as long as I encounter divine dragons outside, I will send them to the dragon race's mother planet. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Good, good, good. Ao Qian nodded repeatedly, and then made arrangements for these divine dragons. The dragon race's mother planet had a vast territory. There were only a few dragon humans left. It was too easy to arrange tens of thousands of divine dragons. As for Lu Ming, he did not leave immediately. Since he was back, he planned to take a batch of divine herbs with him. He had already discovered the secret of the taboo cultivation. It required him to constantly store energy. In this way, he would not be afraid of death in a battle. He did not need to defend. Even if he was seriously injured, he could quickly recover and even increase his cultivation. During the battle with the winged men, Lu Ming discovered that his cultivation had increased by a lot. He was quickly approaching the 5th level Divine Lord realm. If such intense life and death great battles came a few more rounds, he would probably be able to break through to 5th level Divine Lord. Of course, the prerequisite was that his cells had stored enough energy and accumulated enough potential. While Lu Ming was plundering the divine herbs, a few winged men godkings outside the middle-sized cosmos had ugly looks on their faces. Naturally, he had received news from Silverwing and the others. He knew that a Lu Ming with terrifying battle prowess had appeared and was hunting the winged men. However, they did not dare to charge in directly for fear of destroying the world. If that happened, none of the winged ones inside would survive. Therefore, they could only wait outside. However, after waiting for an entire day, not a single winged person came out of the medium-sized world. They knew that the winged man inside was most likely dead. If he was fine, how could he not come out? Let me go in and take a look. One of the winged individuals said, his face gloomy. Then they opened the passage and the Divine Emperor Realm winged man stepped in. He retracted his aura to the extreme, not daring to leak it in the slightest. Then he began to search this world. However, after looking around, he did not see a single divine dragon or winged man. The world became empty. There was nothing in it. How can this be? Damn it! The winged man roared. How could the people of this world suddenly disappear without a trace? Boom! He could no longer hold back. A terrifying aura burst out. The aura of a divine emperor was too terrifying. This world could not withstand it at all. With the winged man as the center, a huge spatial crack spread out, extending to the end of the world. Rumble! The entire world shook violently. Heaven and earth shook, the ground cracked, and lava filled the sky. The entire world was being destroyed. Soon, the entire world exploded, turning into a void. This world could not withstand the pressure of a divine emperor. Disappear! The winged man godking said coldly. He flapped his wings, and 2 rays of light burst out, splitting the world into several pieces. The speed of destruction suddenly increased. The winged man godking broke through the void and left this world, appearing outside. From the outside, one could clearly see that the starry sky was violently distorting, and powerful energy was overflowing. What's going on? The few divine emperors outside immediately asked. The divine emperor who went and told them what he saw. The others were dumbfounded. In the end, they left this place and reported this matter. Half a month later, Lu Ming left the dragon race's mother planet again. This time, he brought a lot of divine herbs, enough for him to use for a while. This time, Lu Ming did not go to the area where the Winged Man clan was located. He was afraid that the Winged Man clan was looking for him. Lu Ming chose to go in another direction. The direction he went was the south of the primitive universe. This was because the illusory heavenly palace was located in the south of the primitive universe. He was not in a hurry. He hurried along while cultivating. Half a year later, he came to a bustling place. This place was a famous commercial area in the south of the primitive universe. Many seeds and merchants gathered in this area. It also attracted many experts to trade here. Lu Ming came here to find out if the Heavenly Palace was recruiting heavenly soldiers. Secondly, Lu Ming wanted to buy some secret skills. Previously, he had killed hundreds of Winged Man clan experts and plundered 28 different secret skills from them. Most of these secret skills were related to speed. However, 5 of them had been cultivated by Lu Ming before, so there were only 23 that Lu Ming had not cultivated. In the past half a year, Lu Ming had cultivated these secret skills into secret skill runes and integrated them into his cells. The more secret skill runes he integrated, the stronger Lu Ming's combat strength would be. Therefore, Lu Ming wanted to find more secret skills to cultivate. Planet Shangchuan was a huge and bustling planet. Experts of different races shuttled back and forth. Lu Ming walked on the street. It was too much for his eyes to take in. After strolling for a while, Lu Ming walked into a huge shop. The shop was very big. There were many shelves neatly placed with all kinds of treasures. Divine pills, divine weapons, divine medicines, divine techniques, secret skills, and so on. Dear customer, how can I help you? A beautiful young girl came over and asked with a kind smile. I need to buy some secret skills. Lu Ming went straight to the point, stating his purpose for coming. Oh, what secret skills do you need? I can help you see if there are any. The young girl said. I can buy any secret skills. The more the better. Lu Ming said. Chapter 37:12. You'll buy any secret technique? This time, the young woman was stunned. She looked at Lu Ming in surprise. It wasn't that no one bought ordinary secret techniques, but they wouldn't buy a lot. Usually, they would buy 1 or 2 to study and use as a supplementary method. This was because cultivating divine power required secret techniques. Secret techniques were unfathomable and had great potential. Their power was far above ordinary secret techniques. Even if one spent a lifetime to cultivate them, they might not be able to cultivate to the greater success stage. Therefore, there were very few people who cultivated ordinary secret techniques, unless they hadn't awakened any secret techniques. However, while origin source secret techniques were rare in the Taishu Sacred Court, they were rare in some of the more powerful universe-level powers, and even the various powerful races. Almost everyone in some powerful races could awaken secret techniques. Even if some people couldn't awaken them when they were young, they would be able to awaken them when they were older and their cultivation was high. Therefore, there were very few people who would buy a lot of secret techniques at once. Moreover, Lu Ming could buy as many as he wanted, so there were even fewer of them. Sir, do you really want to buy a lot? The young woman asked again. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. Then I'll ask our young master to come out and talk to you. Please wait a moment. The young woman bowed and left. Not long after, the young woman came over with a young man. The man was very handsome and looked to be in his 20s. He was wearing luxurious clothes and had a smile on his face. He walked towards Lu Ming with a trace of curiosity in the depths of his eyes. I'm Jiang Libang, may I know your name? The young man cupped his fists and smiled. Mu Yun. Lu Ming cupped his fists and replied. Brother Mu, do you want to buy a lot of secret techniques? Jiang Libang asked. Yes, I already have some secret techniques. I need to buy secret techniques that I don't have. I'll buy as many as you have. Lu Ming said. Brother Mu, please come in and talk in detail. Jiang Libang said and led Lu Ming to a guest room. Brother Mu, these are all the secret techniques I have. There are a total of 220 secret techniques. Brother Lu, take a look and see which ones you need. Jiang Libang handed a jade talisman to Lu Ming. There were 220 secret techniques recorded in the jade talisman. Of course, there were only names and introductions. Lu Ming looked at them one by one. There are 60, I already have them. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Many of the secret techniques he had mastered before were commonly used secret techniques. Many people had them, so they were easy to repeat. However, other than these 60 techniques, Lu Ming did not cultivate the remaining 160 techniques. Lu Ming was quite excited to suddenly have 160 more doors. These. Apart from these, I want all of the remaining 160 secret arts. Lu Ming pointed out the 60 secret arts he already possessed. Jiang Libang's eyes flashed. Buying 160 secret arts at once was a big deal. Naturally, there were different levels of secret skills and their prices were also different. However, the price of 160 secret skills was already very high. Jiang Libang reported the price of the 160 secret skills. Over the years, Lu Ming had killed a lot of enemies and accumulated a lot of wealth. He was so rich that he paid divine crystals to buy all of them without blinking an eye. After putting away the 160 secret skills, Lu Ming was quite happy. Brother Jiang, if you have other secret skills that I don't have, I want all of them. Lu Ming said. I do want to do business with Brother Mu, but it's not easy to collect these secret skills. However, I do have a way. Brother Mu, you can try it. Maybe you can get a lot of secret skills. Jiang Libang said. What way? Lu Ming's interest was piqued. He had 60 trillion cells, and every single one of them was infused with a secret technique. The more secret skills integrated, the stronger his battle strength would naturally be. Moreover, according to Fei Huang, he needed to accumulate at the beginning. Only when he had accumulated enough secret skills could he walk his own path and truly transcend. However, it was difficult to do so without enough accumulation. Therefore, to Lu Ming, the more secret techniques he had, the better. On planet Shangchuan, every once in a while, there will be a trade fair. At that time, there will be many experts from many races participating. Everyone will take out treasures to trade with others for treasures that they can use. Those people most likely have many secret techniques that they can trade for. Jiang Libang said. Okay, when will the trade fair be held? Lu Ming asked. 3 months later. Jiang Libang said. Brother Mu, what's the name of your illusory divine jade? When there's news, I'll inform you through the illusory divine jade. I don't have any illusory divine jade. Lu Ming said. He had left his previous illusory divine jade to his past self. Although he had obtained a lot of illusory divine jades from others, those illusory divine jades were already bound to others and could not be used. Jiang Libang was also a little speechless. In the primitive universe, only some small forces or very remote places did not have illusory divine jades. It was not difficult for some of the larger forces or races to get their hands on illusory divine jades. Previously, Lu Ming had been very generous and did not seem like someone who could not afford illusory divine jades. Later, Lu Ming bought another illusory divine jade from Jiang Libang and named it Mu Yun. After exchanging contact information with Jiang Libang, Lu Ming bid farewell and found an inn to stay in. Then he began to cultivate secret skills. As Lu Ming cultivated more secret skills, his cultivation speed became faster and faster. This time, he had obtained 160 secret skills. In 3 months, Lu Ming had cultivated 60 kinds of secret skills. In this way, he had integrated 190 secret skills into every cell in his body. These secret skills came in all kinds. Some were good at speed, some were good at attack, some were good at defense, some were good at support, and so on. Some were good at dispelling poison, and some were good at healing. Although the healing and detoxification secret skills were not very useful to Lu Ming now, Lu Ming still cultivated all of them. After cultivating another 60 secret skills, Lu Ming's overall strength became stronger. These secret skills were integrated into every cell in Lu Ming's body. With a thought, they would erupt with astonishing power. At this time, Lu Ming also received news from Jiang Libang that the trading meet was about to begin. Lu Ming was the first to see Jiang Libang. He followed Jiang Libang to a huge hall. The hall was very wide, and there were many chairs in the hall. These chairs were arranged in a circle, and there were at least 1,000 chairs. When Lu Ming and Jiang Libang arrived, many people had already arrived and were sitting on the chairs. Some people knew each other and chatted with each other. Some people had cold expressions and sat alone with their eyes closed. After Lu Ming and Jiang Lebang arrived, they casually found a seat and sat down. Chapter 37:13. As time passed, more and more people entered the hall. Slowly the thousands of chairs were filled. That's Yu Chang from the Icy Moonvine race. It's really him. I didn't expect the Icy Moonvine race to be here too. A few voices came from the crowd. They were surprised and solemn. Icy Moonvine race. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This was a big race. They were ranked 437th on the primitive 10,000 tribes board. They were already the top race in the primitive universe. Lu Ming looked up and saw a young man in a silver robe. He walked in with a few middle-aged men and sat down on the chairs. The others quickly bowed to the young man from the Icy Moonvine race and gave him a flattering smile. The Heavenly Locust race is here too. Another voice rang out. Everyone's gazes shifted to the entrance. A young man in a blue robe with a sinister expression walked into the hall, with a few people behind him. The Heavenly Locust race was ranked 356th on the primitive 10,000 tribes board. They were even more terrifying than the Icy Moonvine race. Wherever the Heavenly Locust race passed, nothing grew. It was terrifying. Yu Chang, you're here too. What treasures did you bring this time? The young man from the Heavenly Locust race smiled evilly when he saw Yu Chang. Of course I have treasures. Let's see if you have treasures of the same level to exchange. Yu Chang replied coldly. Although the Icy Moonvine race was ranked lower than the Heavenly Locust race, he was not afraid of them. The young man from the Heavenly Locust race smiled evilly and sat down with his men. As the geniuses of the two races entered, the atmosphere in the hall became tense. An hour later, the hall was filled with people. At this moment, an old man walked in. The old man's hair was white, but he was in high spirits. Thank you for coming to this trade fair. However, there are rules. No fighting is allowed during the trade fair. Don't blame me for being merciless if you break the rules. The old man cupped his fists and said. Of course, of course. Everyone in the hall quickly replied. Even Yu Chang and the young man from the Heavenly Locust race had to be cautious. This was because the old man's background was not to be underestimated. It was said that he was related to the top 100 races on the primitive 10,000 tribes board. The Heavenly Locust race and the Icy Moonvine race did not dare to act rashly. Alright, let's begin the trade fair. Let this old man start. After the white-haired old man finished speaking, his palm glowed and a small piece of armor appeared in his hand. This armor is called the Soul Anchor Armor. It has a powerful soul defensive ability. Even if you encounter a Spiritus powerhouse of the same level, it can still defend you. The white-haired old man introduced. Against experts of the same level, I can defend myself for a bit. Immediately, many people's eyes lit up. The Soul race was the race with the strongest soul research in the primitive universe. Their soul attacks were unparalleled and terrifying to the extreme. Even the other races in the top 10 were extremely wary of the Soul race. And this armor could even defend against the soul attacks of a Spiritus at the same level. Didn't this mean that if one were to encounter the soul attacks of other races at the same level, the effects would be absolutely astonishing? For example, the Wu people might not be able to break this armor even if they were at the same level. Senior, what do you want? What realm can it reach? Immediately, many people started asking questions. This armor can be used until I reach the first godly emperor layer. I need an imperial godly herb, the white-haired old man said. Only the first godly emperor layer. You want an imperial godly herb? Many people felt it was a pity. The first godly emperor layer was already unattainable for ordinary groups of the universe. But for groups of the primitive universe like the list of 10,000 clans, it wasn't that difficult. It could only be used until the first godly emperor layer, which meant that once a cultivator reached the second godly emperor layer, the armor's power would be greatly reduced. At the same time, its value would also be greatly reduced. Besides, he needed an imperial godly herb. Imperial godly herbs were very useful for cultivators of the godly emperor layer. It wasn't worth it to exchange for an armor that could only be used until the first godly emperor layer. Therefore, for a while nobody said anything. After a while, Senior, isn't the demand for an emperor-grade divine medicine a bit too high? Can you change the conditions? Ask someone. This old man needs an emperor-grade divine herb. Is there anyone who wants to trade? Asked the white-haired old man. Nobody replied. Imperial godly herbs were very precious. They were priceless. Of course, no one wanted to exchange them. Even though Lu Ming had more than one imperial godly herb, he wasn't interested in the armor. He didn't have a soul in his consciousness. His soul was in every cell of his body. Ordinary soul attacks were useless against him. Therefore, he wasn't interested in the armor. After a short time, nobody came. The white-haired old man sighed in disappointment. He put the armor away and sat down. I'll do it. After that, a middle-aged man stood up. Then a jade box appeared in his hand. When he opened it, there was a sword-shaped crystal inside. This is a sword god crystal. It's very useful for people who practice the original strength of swords. It can help them sever shackles. I want a spiritual enhancing pill. Who wants it? Asked the middle-aged man. Immediately, many people's eyes lit up. How much can your sword god crystal increase the power of sword type origin source secret arts to sever the shackles? Ask someone. It can increase the efficiency by 50%. Said the middle-aged man. 50%. Many people looked even more excited. Being able to increase the efficiency by 50% was already very good. It could greatly shorten the cultivation time. Originally, it would take 10 years. Now it would only take 6 or 7 years. Moreover, for ordinary divine lords and divine emperors, cultivation would take hundreds of millions of years. How much time could this save? However, many people sighed because the spiritual enhancing pill was also very precious. The spiritual enhancing pill could increase a person's potential. Potential was the most important thing for cultivators. Potential determined how far a person could go in the future. It determined the upper limit of a person's cultivation. It was extremely precious. I'll exchange with you. After a while, someone finally spoke. Everyone looked over and saw that it was an old man. The old man took out a jade bottle and walked in front of the middle-aged man. Here's a spiritual enhancing pill. Take it and check it, said the old man. The middle-aged man nodded and took the jade bottle. Then he revealed a satisfied smile. This was indeed a spiritual enhancing pill. He had exchanged it for his children. Increasing the potential of young people was the most important thing. When they got older, it would be difficult to increase their potential. I'll exchange. The middle-aged man handed the sword god crystal to the old man. Both of them had gotten what they wanted and were happy. Satisfied, they returned to their seats. Then the exchange continued. I have a fiery origin fruit here. It's extremely beneficial for cultivating fire-attributed god power. It can help awaken one's origin god power factor, even if it's only 4 or 5 times. I'll exchange it for a treasure that's beneficial for cultivating saber-related origin secret techniques, said a middle-aged woman. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.